Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. All right, welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Should have a fun show today. I mean, we're going to talk a lot of Gator baseball, as you know. And, of course, Coach Spurrier will join us a little bit later, and Robbie Andrew will join us for Yes, No, Where, Maybe. On Thursday, Laura Rutledge will be joining us. In fact, I need to talk to you about the time on that. I forgot to tell you that, but I will tell you the time on that. And so that'll be a lot of fun to talk to her. We can talk to her about a million things, as you know, being the in charge of the NFL, basically. But also we'll talk to her about her time at Florida and what the Gators were doing this year. So that's our plan. I will tell you, I had one of the best weekends I've ever had. My wife and I spent 2 hours bird watching. We went to dinner. We went out one night, and we just had a fun time. And I played Adena. For those of you who don't know, Adena's reopened. It reopened a little while ago, but I wanted to get down there, and Patrick, who was the pro down there, had me come down, and my brother and I, and we had a blast. I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard, and I'm not good. That's a bad combination. So we did that on Friday. We watched Gator baseball, obviously, all weekend. A lot of baseball, a lot of golf. Just had a great, great weekend. I hope your weekend was as good as mine, and I doubt it was, to be honest with you. I just had one of those special weekends that you always want to talk about. And I also want to always talk about the Process Service of Gainesville and Starting Five, which is brought to you by Process Service of Gainesville. Scott Hart, appreciate him so much. Let's start with number one, which you know what it is, which is baseball, the game. The game, like people are going to say, and people have already asked me, is it the best win in the history of the program? And I'm like, no, the best win in the history of the program was beating LSU to win the national championship. It's always going to be number one. There have been other games that this was the weirdest, most interesting game. There's a difference between best game and most interesting game. The 96 game, or I'm sorry, 98, when they beat, was it Illinois or Wake Forest in the final? I can't even remember which one. And that was the game where Derek Nicholson got the hit, walk-off hit, to send them to Omaha. That was a big game. There have been games in Omaha that were big games. So I always like to let things simmer for a little while before you decide whether it was the best game ever. For example, the 97 FSU game. Everybody will say, best game ever in the Swamp. Well, you don't know that yet. You know, and since then, there have been games that I could argue were better. But it was a great game. It was unbelievable. It was too much. It was really, like, if they had ended up losing and were playing again today, I would have lost my mind. And they probably would have played the afternoon games. We might not even have a show today. But because of all the things that happened. I mean, you saw this unbelievable Willie Mays catch that their center fielder made. You saw the day before he stole a homer from a guy. You saw the Cags banging into the guy and then pushing him, and I'm worried he's going to get thrown out. That's going to kill Florida. They got no chance. Then you were worried that he was going to be suspended. And if they got to the College World Series, he'd be suspended for the first game. There was all this stuff going on. 2 coaches from Clemson get thrown out of the game. A player gets thrown out of the game. It was the craziest game I've ever seen. I will say that. It was the craziest and maybe the most intense. And I've been to a lot of intense games in my life. But that was incredible. Mikey Robertson, give him credit. I'm guessing he might come up on our play of the weekend today. But, I mean, this is a guy who is a positive guy and keeps doing all the right things. And you remember the catch he made. I mean, apparently for Florida to go to Omaha, he's got to make some kind of play. You remember the catch he made last year to send Florida to the finals. And then the 2-run double, very Jim Birdish. I remember Jim Burt doing that against Florida one year. Just about broke my heart. So it was a crazy game. I did want to, and I will say this. Dale Thomas, thumbs up, man. Florida's had a hard time bunting all year. We know that. Brody Donay also had a bunt. Didn't he bunt in a run, I think, the day before? And also hit a homer yesterday. So, I mean, this team is definitely peaking at the right time. But I texted Sully after the game, and about an hour and a half later, I got a response. And he said, he goes, it's an unbelievable story. I go, it is an unbelievable story. I know that everybody wants to compare it to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is the kind of the same story. But it just shows you that this team was better than I thought and as good as he thought. And he thought this was a team that would get back to Omaha. I did not, especially as the season went along. And I was dead wrong. It's a great team. And you know what else? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it out loud. And again, you got to let it simmer. But I think Caglione is approaching Tebow status in terms of people, how much people love him. I mean, I really do. I think that he is he's getting to be a big deal. Well, he was already a big deal. But, I mean, look, I know the people at ESPN are thrilled that he's going to be playing in the College World Series. And I think that, like, I don't think that's why Florida got in, but I think if you had a tiebreaker, now Florida was not even the last four in. And let's remember that. They didn't get him. People keep saying they got in by the skin of their teeth. They didn't. They were in because of the schedule they played. But I think there had to be a little bit of that CAGS thing where you go, hey, we kind of want to see him play, you know. But what did he do? Hit a homer that turned around the Saturday game, then hit a two-run homer to get them off to a good start in the Sunday game. Now, obviously, a million things happened after that. A million things. And that's why this will go down as one of the most interesting games, if nothing else, that we've ever seen. 13 innings, and coaches, kicked out of the game and everything. Coaches that weren't even coaches kicked out of the game. It was crazy. Congrats to Sully. Congrats to all these guys. Congrats to all the players. Every one of them. Every one of them shows up every day. You know, Ashton Wilson hit that ball. He was going to be the hero. And guy makes a great catch, but they don't quit. They don't quit. And that's why, and let's get to number 2 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Florida will play. Now, I have read that they're going to play Saturday, but then I heard some of the people say they don't know yet. I may be getting bad info, but I'm pretty sure they play Saturday. We don't know the time yet. By the time you're watching this, you may know. They'll play A&M. They took 2 out of 3 from A&M early in the year. I was at 2 of those games. They mean nothing now. I mean, you know the players a little bit on both sides. Let me guess. A&M doesn't want to pitch to Caglione. Why anybody pitches to him, I can't understand. But, look, you're in the College World Series. You're playing with house money at this point. Nobody thought you were going to be here. You're there. You've done it again. Sully, how many, 12 that he's been to? It's unbelievable what a job he did this year, especially. And it's amazing what is going on in college baseball because, again, a lot of you listen to the show on Tuesday or even Wednesday, and you'll know what happened with the Georgia game tonight. But if Georgia wins, the SEC will have 5 teams in the College World Series and the ACC 3. It didn't work out for the other leagues. Sorry. You hosted several regionals. Not good enough. But the SEC did and the ACC did host a lot of regionals. And they matched them up even. And in the case of Florida Clemson, one or the other had to go. But that's pretty amazing. If the SEC could end up with 5 teams in the College World Series, I mean, Greg Sankey, he should just have a big cigar out just to be smoking it. Yeah, our league's better than yours, yeah. So this is, look, the SEC is the best league. Maybe not in football yet. And we'll see how all that goes. But it's the best league. You know that. All right, let's get to number 3. And I probably waited way too long to talk about this, but the men winning the outdoor track, what a performance. Mouse Holloway is amazing. I had this line in my column, And I said, they should have a statue for Mouse Holloway over at the track. And I said, but the trouble is Mouse would not, I'm sure he wouldn't want to pose for her because he is the most unassuming guy in the world. And then I thought about it, and I go, we could call it Modest Mouse, Modest Mouse, good group. I like Modest Mouse. Yeah, Float On. Yeah, we could do that. But it's just amazing what he's been able to do to win all these championships, win 12 with the men, 2 more with the women. And the women were close. Now, when I say they were close, they went to the final event. Arkansas had the best relay team, and Florida wasn't in the relay, and you kind of knew what was going to happen. So, of course, Arkansas won it by like 100 yards. Did not go well for them on that. But, hey, so they finished second. Are we at the point in life where we go, track finished second? I don't know how we're going to deal with that the rest of the year. But they finished second. In the women and first in the men, what a job Mouse is doing over there. Appreciate him so much. Again, they only beat Auburn by 1 point in the men. So they were very, they had to squeeze every point. A lot of things didn't go right for them, and they overcame them. Give a lot of credit to him and to all those great athletes over there. Let's get to number 4, which is, I will tell you that Florida, the University of Florida, only school in the country this year to have baseball and softball teams in the Women's College World Series and the Men's College World Series. Now, I don't like to call it the Men's College World Series, and I know they do now. To me, it's the College World Series and the Women's College World Series. I don't diminish the women that way, but you have to differentiate. But you don't have to say the Men's College World Series. That's my opinion. I may be wrong. But Florida, the only school to have that, and also, this is huge, I think. And look, I've always watched these things like, are they going to win the Directors' Cup this year and everything? Florida's got 9 teams that finished in the top 5 already, and that's without baseball being counted yet. Baseball's the last one to be counted. Now, some of their teams dropped them down a little bit, but 9 teams in the top 5 in the country finished. It's one thing to have 9 teams in the top 5 in the country preseason. Doesn't matter. Florida was number 2 in the preseason, if you remember. And then all of a sudden we were all ready to write their obits week after week after week. And now they're still alive. So that's the other thing I do want to say this, and I probably will catch some hell. But there are people that don't like Scott Strickland. They don't think he's doing a great job because he's not done a good job of hiring football coaches. And that's their argument. Look, you are what your record is. Hired Dan Mullen, record was good. It totally fell apart. He did the right thing, went and got another guy, Billy Napier. Record's been under 500 2 years in a row. So that's what people judge him on. I judge him on everything, but I'm in the minority there, and I understand that. But don't forget, look, it's easy to say, well, yeah, Jeremy Foley built this program. Yeah, he did. He built it so that it was inclusive to every sport. And that's what it is. It's inclusive. And Florida was ahead of the game on that, and that's why they've been so good. Now, Stanford, usually wins this thing because they have like 93 sports or whatever, and they're good in all the sports that, like water polo and stuff. And but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Stanford. It's a great school and a great opportunity. They ain't gonna win a lot of football and basketball games, but they're good. Anyway, my point is, I think you have to tip your cap a little bit to Scott Strickland and what he's done. You may not agree with the stadium expansion, and I understand if you don't agree with where they are in football. I'm a believer that this football program is about to turn things around this year, okay? To me, turning around would be go to 8-4. I can't believe I have to say that, but when you look at the schedule they have to play, 8-4 would be a great season. People still want to put him on the hot seat, even though they have no idea whether he's on the hot seat. But anyway, that's enough about that. I don't want to talk too much about it. Sometimes I get mad. All right, finally, number 5 on our Process Service of Gainesville starting 5. Scotty Scheffler is just getting to be ridiculous. I call him the Big Teasy now because, and I think I used to call Tiger that because Tiger would let you back into a tournament and then slam the door on you. And that's, again, makes a triple bogey on a hole. You're watching, oh, okay, hits one out of bounds. We got a tournament now. Let's go. I'm fired up. And, of course, I had it on the second TV. I had 2 TVs going the whole time. And then he goes, let me just make every putt and knock it close. Wins the tournament. It just keeps winning. Win. He's having a Tiger type of year, but I will say this. He probably needs to win the U.S. Open this week. But there's a part of me, and again, I had no problem with Scotty Scheffler with what happened earlier. I thought I could tell right away there's something missing here. What happened at the PGA? There are people that got mad about it, and I think everybody's kind of backed off of that. They have to look at it and just can't believe it. I still can't believe he hits the ball as good as he hits it and as close as he hits it with that swing with the foot coming off the ground. I've tried it, and I think it's screwed me up because I think it did help me get a little bit more yardage. I went from like 180 on my drives to 182, but I think it's made me move too much, so don't try it at home. This is for professionals only, not me. All right, that's our Process Service of Gainesville starting 5. Let's take a break and bring in the HBC to talk a little bit about Gator baseball. And, of course, we'll talk about a lot of things. We always love it when Coach comes on. Robbie Andrew will join us again as he does later on in the show until, he'll be on the third segment. And so we'll get to him. You are watching or listening to another Dooley Noted podcast, or Dooley Noted podcast. That's a good name for it. Brought to you by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast brought to you by, of course, Titan MRI. And we're in the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Meldon Law, also the sponsor of Coach Spurrier's appearances on a Meldon Monday. We love that. We love having Coach Spurrier in here. I know you watched every minute of the game, probably Saturday or Sunday. I watched every minute Saturday and Sunday, but it was unbelievable baseball game, wasn't it?
It really was. The ups and downs for both teams were simply amazing. When you got a 9-6 lead and then you lose it and you go extra innings, the momentum is with the other team, and certainly they hit that home run in the top of the 13th, I guess it was, and our guys, I don't think we'd had a hit in 3 or 4 innings.
Yeah, been struggling.
None. But all of a sudden, bang, leadoff guy hit that grounder between short and third, and the next guy got a nice hit and bunted them around, and then our guy hit the shot to left center that drove both of them in. and away we go to Omaha.
That's
so it was
right.
a wonderful win. The odds on us beating them if we had to play them again today would not have been good, I don't think.
And it was obviously an unbelievable crowd. They were into it. And, of course, they got into it even more when Cags and the guy bumped into each other and pushed them away. And
Yeah, that wasn't that big a deal. Why would the
why do you take
umpires
18 minutes? to do-
17, 18 minutes, stop the game? All they did was, hey, get out of the way, pal.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens almost every play in football. And they do it in baseball. No big deal, either side. But umpires, I guess, they got a rule for something like that. If you leave the dugout, you can just don't get on the field, or can you?
Well,
I don't know that rule
the
either.
problem with the reason their guy got ejected is he was rounding third, and rather than go into the dugout, he ran inside
see
the
what was
baseline and was kind of ready to get into it. And then he touched an umpire, and once you do that,
If he touched home plate and come around,
that'd be different. Yeah.
it wouldn't have affected
But
it.
you know what
he-
I always say, Steve, and I say this about college football and basketball, and you got to play around the officiating. You always have to play around it, and the bottom line is Clemson didn't. They gave up the big hit at the end of the game, so they.
And that last inning there, when they threw out the manager, they threw him out. What did he do?
Well, here's what he did.
What did
Okay,
he do?
I got the explanation. They emailed it to me, and it was basically he was mad because the guy who hit the homer threw the bat down
That's
pretty
right.
hard.
Yeah, he threw the bat
and
down.
so they gathered to decide whether he should be kicked out of the game. And the manager ran out there, and they said, no, you got to go back. We're talking about this. And he goes, no. And he kept getting in their face.
Oh, I see.
And he kept chasing them. And finally they threw him out of the game. And then they already told Jack Leggett, who has been the manager there forever, or the coach there forever, and then he got fired basically at Clemson. And
Now he's like the honorary coach.
he's like,
or something.
I don't know I don't know why he was in the dugout in
I
uniform.
didn't either,
Yeah,
but-
that was weird.
Yeah.
And then he gets thrown out, and it was crazy. It was. I don't know that it was the best game I've ever seen, but it was the strangest, most intense
Yeah, it
game
really
I've maybe
was.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And the one the day before was the same way. I mean, it was like every pitch you're just hanging on it. And again, now Florida goes to Omaha with a, they're playing with house money in a way. I mean, whatever they do is fine.
Well, it could lead to something big. When
Yeah.
you win, you weren't expected to win. All of a sudden, you get on a roll like that. Heck, just like Ole Miss,
Ole Miss
2
did
years
a couple
ago.
years ago, yeah.
And then they won the whole thing. So it can happen. I mean, we got ball players, pitchers. Our pitchers are gaining confidence.
Yeah.
McNeely, he
Yeah.
was that last guy in there.
Yep.
Yeah, he really pitched well. The moment was not too big for him.
No.
He said, "Give me the ball, coach. He gave up that one homer, but other than that, he shut him out there for about 4 innings or whatever
did
it
good,
was.
yeah.
So he was really something, and maybe he's going to get more action now that we know he can play.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do out there. But like I said, it's just getting there is it almost feels like a miracle, to be honest with you. In fact, I texted Sully. I know you called Sully.
I left him a voicemail,
Yeah.
and I've been thinking about 9:30. He called me back. Said, "Have you ever seen anything like that?" And I said, "No, but it could be a good omen. It could be really because it looked like we were going to have to play him today, but it worked out the bottom of the 13th. So
Yeah. Well, I always like that when you win that first game, you get to be especially on the road, you get to be the home team for the second game. And I believe that home field advantage is important for baseball. Just because you get to bat last. And I don't know. Maybe it's not true, but I think it is.
Well, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be. And there's certainly something to home field advantage in every sport. Home team wins more than they lose, unless they're a real bad team, of course. But still, you got to pitch, catch, throw, hit, run, and
Yeah.
all that. And there was a lot of good plays, really, by both teams yesterday.
God, that catch that guy made was unbelievable
Yeah.
for Clemson.
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as he made it, I went, "Oh, that's a Willie Mays catch."
That
And
was
next
the
thing you
one.
know, they got it up there. Comparing the two catches.
Oh, yeah. That was something.
It was amazing. And not only that, but also this weekend, it was kind of overlooked because of what was going on with baseball. Mouse Holloway wins another national championship.
14 national championships.
14's pretty
for
good.
Coach Mouse Holloway. I'd say he's the leader by far. He's got about as many as all the rest of the sports combined, it seems like. But, yeah, he knows how to get the most out of them. Buddy Martin called and says, "How's he doing that?" And I said, "Well, they train, they prepare, and they mentally believe that they're supposed to win.
Right.
You know, at some point, these teams that win championships all the time, like the Oklahoma women's softball team, they believe they're supposed to win. And if we play the best we can, we should win another national championship. So 4 in a row for that team right there. And our men came in, was it second or third?
Women came in second.
Men won.
And they only lost in the last event. We were watching it, actually.
Yeah, that would have been something if we could have backed up both of them. But, Mouse Holloway, he's an excellent coach. I mean, he'd be a good coach in any sport.
Karen, my wife, went after we were watching, she goes, Mouse Holloway should have a statue. There's all these statues. They should put up one to him, and I'm like, Mouse wouldn't pose for it because he doesn't care about all that. Yeah. He's got that little corner office over there at the Lemeron Center, and he barely comes out of it. He's just busy getting great athletes to come to Florida, and it was it's been amazing the run he's been on. But it's been a lot of fun to watch that and watch baseball. And I did want to we need to get to our Campus USA play of the weekend, which goes to baseball. It was a tight choice because, believe me, there was a lot of good things that happened, but this is it. And you know what, and I know you weren't here for this, but God, I don't even remember what year it was. Jim Burt, who was there's a celebration that's so great. I love college baseball celebrations. Jim Burt hit exactly the same thing at Florida Field to beat Florida and knock them out one year. And I was thinking, that's the same play. But do you ever worry about, you've never been in a dog pile, right?
No, we didn't dog pile. Back in our day, we just sort of hug each other a little bit. But I wouldn't want to be at the bottom with some of these big guys. But,
no, I remember.
It must be pretty safe because almost all the teams do it now.
Like I saw one play where a guy hit a homer and then everybody jumped up in the air and did something. I'm like, you could tear an ACL like that. I worry about things like that. I saw, remember Martin Gramatica did that. He kicked a field goal and jumped up.
Came down funny.
You know who else did? Was Pat Browning. Remember him? You put him on defense for one series because he couldn't play. And Pat's a good friend of mine, so I know him. And he made a tackle for a loss, I think, and jumped up in the air and tore his ACL.
Came down funny. No, it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Happen. But it's so cool to be. If we can get football going here, which I can't believe I have to say that, but if we can get that going, Florida's really doing amazing things and everything. They've got 9 teams that are that finish in the top 5 in the country in different sports.
Yeah.
So they're doing great things. We just got to get the football part of it going.
Yeah, and basketball had a good year.
Yeah, they had a good year. Yeah.
Coach Todd Golden, and women's basketball we need to bring up a little bit. But other than that, especially the spring sports are all. Swimming. Our lady lacrosse team did well.
Got tied for 3rd in the country. Gymnastics 4th. Just like
soccer had a good year.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I did want to ask you about the U.S. Open coming up this weekend. And first of all, though, about Scotty Scheffler, because it's almost, I'm calling him the big teasy, because he lets you back into the tournament and then he shuts the door on you. It's unbelievable what he's doing. And the iron shots are incredible. You watch him and you go, okay, that wasn't a good iron shot from Scotty because it was only 9 feet away.
He's consistent, but up and down and putting is a big reason he wins them. He's a good ball striker, probably the best at that. But that last up and down on the last hole, and he does that all the time. So a guy that's got the short game as well as the excellent ball striker, he's going to be hard to beat. He really is.
I'm afraid he's going to make the U.S. Open boring because
I don't know.
This role. But
he had his little baby there. His wife and baby was there. That was neat to see. It really was.
I don't know. It's funny how I think everybody's kind of forgotten that whole incident, which wasn't really his fault, but he probably made a mistake, But
I think he was just trying to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And the cop thought he was trying to run over him or something. There's a whole bunch of commotion. Well, let me get out here and then I'll stop. And he moved, and the guy wanted him to stop right there. I don't know.
I think it cost him the PGA. I really do. I think he could have. Because don't forget, he played really good that day, but then the next day when everything was
Second or third day.
throwing at him.
Yeah.
He didn't play well. He shot 76, I think, or something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you about the two courses. One, the Memorial, where they played the Nicholas Tournament. Have you ever played there? In
I have
Dublin?
not played that one.
I haven't either.
I
Yeah,
have not played that one, but they had it set up pretty tough.
they did.
I mean, when the rough all around the green is up, I mean, you got to learn how to chunk that thing out and roll it up pretty close. And of course, both guys got up and down on the last hole.
Yeah.
Morikawa and Scotty Scheffler. So they know how to do that. And
Yeah,
they
but
do.
Victor Hovland had a couple of problems with it.
Oh,
He
yeah.
left a couple in the rough, but that's hard to do. And then the Memorial this week's at Pinehurst, or I'm sorry, the U.S. Open's at Pinehurst. I've never played there. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I played Pinehurst, number 2. Yeah, it's an excellent course, of course.
That's where Payne Stewart won it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, he sure did.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's I'll never forget watching that because nobody had ever done that. The rain jacket with the sleeves cut off before, and he did it, and I go, oh, they're going to sell a lot of those after that. But it certainly was. It was a fun weekend, and we're about at the end of sports as we know it. Now there's still the NBA and all that stuff going on, baseball and everything, but it's not that far till football season. I know we're all looking forward to this football season to see what happens.
Yeah, recruiting is going on right now
Yeah.
all over the country. I remember back in our day, I think the month of June, you couldn't recruit.
Yeah, that's right.
You had spring recruiting, and then June and July pretty much off. Then you catch some football camps and bring some guys to that. But they had to pay their own way to football camp.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different day. I'm hoping that they've got a proposal that every Power 5 team can take $20 million to pay their team.
Right.
All right. Now it makes it pretty even for everybody now. Right now, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Miami, Southern Cal, Arkansas spending
They got
a
a lot of
ton,
money
aren't
there,
they?
too.
But still, I still try to tell people, teams win, not individuals. The highest paid team don't always win. So you got to have good team spirit and camaraderie. And all the guys got to love each other, play together, and all that kind of stuff to win championships. So it'll be interesting to see if you can just flat out buy a team to win the national championship.
That's what.
And Georgia, now Georgia does a good job. I don't like to compliment them too much, but they spread.
They
I mean, they
spread
pay the
around,
money.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but they spread it out. It seems like they all like each other.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty evenly, or not even, but he deserves this, that, and the other. It can't be lopsided,
Right.
or you have friction within the team. So, and hopefully we can do that, get it sort of balanced out. Everybody loves each other and have a go at it this year.
I think in the end,
Yeah.
guys love winning, and you knew that too when you came
Well.
here. I mean, when you started winning, guys played at a different level. The better it got. I mean, that was your phrase that you used in the '91 FSU game. Another level, and
Well, you got to hate losing first.
Yeah,
I like that. Michael Phelps, when he was asked what drove you to be the greatest swimmer of all time, he said, first of all, I hate losing, and then I wanted to do things that never been done before. And since when I coached here and in South Carolina,
yeah, it sounds
things
familiar.
that had never been done before
Yeah.
were, they were all within reach. Just winning 10 games had never been done. Winning 6 SEC games had never been done
At
prior
Florida.
to the 90. Now, we only played about 6 or 7 a year until the 90s. We started playing 7 in, I don't know, 88 or 90, something like that.
I remember coming up to Columbia and walking in the offices there to do an interview with you the 2 days before your first game. And the first thing I see is there's an Outback Bowl logo up there. And that was it. That's all you had. But that's all you had to live on was that Outback Bowl win. And that was before you'd ever coached a game. And now all of a sudden, a lot of things have happened. But I mean, I know that was kind of strange to walk into that place, but it was also right up your alley where they had never done anything. They'd never been able to win anything.
Yeah, doing things for the first time in school history sort of gives you a little kick. I enjoyed doing that. South Carolina had never won in Knoxville. And that first year, we beat them 16-15 somehow. So that was fun.
Well, I remember that game. You ran that little fake and then post to Alshon Jeffrey, right?
No, Sidney Rice was playing back in 05.
Yes.
Back in
Yep.
05, Alshon, he caught one.
Alshon was a
those
little later,
on,
yeah.
in 2010. Yeah, he caught a bunch of them. But anyway, that's a fun thing to do, and I was fortunate to coach there and South Carolina to do a bunch of first time in school history things.
Right. But in the end, there's nothing like winning. I mean, I talk about it. I was talking about this with my wife the other day, and she was so happy, and she's making reservations for Omaha, and I'm like, no, calm down a little bit. But winning is just such an elixir. It just makes you so happy. I know that Sunday I was so happy, and it just makes the food taste better and and everything go better.
And you think Clemson didn't want to win that game?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see their players and fans? I mean, some of them were actually crying. It was heartbreaking. So, and that's what the fans like to see. They like to see when it's really, really important to both teams.
Matters.
Both teams, it really matters. Yeah.
Yeah, like with softball, watching that. I remember when Baylor lost here and to Florida, and those girls. I was so happy that Florida won, but then you see the Baylor girls walking off and they're all crying, and I'm like, yeah, I feel bad for them. I don't want anybody to feel bad, but hey, somebody's got to win, somebody's going to lose, right?
That's why it's on television. That's why there's people in the stands.
That's why they keep score, right?
That's exactly right. My dad always said the object of the game is to win if you're keeping score.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just out there having a little scrimmage and you're not keeping score, well,
It
don't
matter.
keep score then.
Yeah.
But if you keep score, man, you got to try to win. There's a winner and a loser. And if you like being a winner instead of a loser, then try your best. Let's win this thing.
No better winner than this guy right here.
Yeah.
We appreciate him being on our podcast again. He's always here on Mondays for the most part, unless he's busy getting into a Hall of Fame. What was the last one you went into? Tampa?
Tampa. That was neat down there. I saw Thaddeus Bullard.
Yep,
He went in.
yep.
And Aaron Andrews. Aaron, our sports
Love
caster, Fox. She wasn't able to get there, but three of us, Bruce Arians, Super Bowl champ of the Tampa Bay Bucks coach, was in, and one of the high school coaches was there also. So it had a full house, and it was a nice event, really was.
Great. Well, we always know he's a Hall of Famer, and appreciate Coach Spurrier being here. We'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast. Robbie Andrew will join us for Yes, Nowhere, maybe, brought to you by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Always a pleasure on Mondays to bring in our good friend on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line, the great Robbie Andrew. Robert, Did you enjoy any baseball this weekend?
Yeah, Pat, I'm wearing my Gator baseball hat
I
now. In honor
see.
of the Gators making it to the College World Series. That was an unbelievable game.
It was unbelievable. I mean, people keep. I was talking about this in the first segment. I was, was it the greatest game ever played? You got to let it simmer for a little while.
Yeah.
I always believe in simmering things, but I think it was the most the game with the most twists and turns and tension that I've ever seen.
It wore you out, emotionally wore you out.
Well, 5 hours and 5 minutes wore you out.
That'll do it. But Pat, I have a question for you, Pat.
Okay.
How in the world can Caglione not be a finalist for the Player of the Year in college baseball? There's no way there are 4 players better than him in college baseball. Not even close.
And there is no way. I mean, I think it kind of inspired him. I think it kind of got him going. But I say that, and he pitched about the way he always pitches, and he hit about the way he always hits. So maybe it didn't inspire him that much, but that's how good he is. No, look, I talked about this in the first segment, Robbie. I think Caglione is approaching Tebow status in terms of –
I think he is too.
Yeah, where everybody – like if you could be with one person right now and Tebow and Caglione are walking down the street, you might go, the guy on the right's better looking.
Yeah. Well, Pat, you saw when he did not get ejected. Remember, there was people were holding their breath. You saw his teammates went up and were hugging him because he was staying in the game. That's how much he means to that team.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable day, unbelievable game. Here was my plan, okay? It was a good plan. 2:30 game. Perfect. I know you're gonna laugh at this, but in the morning we went bird watching.
Okay, Pat.
Karen, but it was on a pontoon boat. So I got to, ride around on a pontoon boat around Lake Santa Fe. That was fine.
That's good.
You know how many birds we saw?
None.
Like 6, maybe. And so I asked Karen, I said, this is like Jurassic Park. So eventually there's going to be dinosaurs here, right? But we saw some egrets and some ospreys. They were cool, but it was just one of those days. It was too hot. And, the birds are going, why are you guys out in the lake? Sit back here. It's brutal out here.
You see any gators while you're out there?
A couple, yeah. Saw a couple gators. They were getting fired up for the game. So anyway, so I did that that was my Sunday to open up. And then where we went? You'll love this, Robbie. I've always wanted to stop there. I was always been curious. The Gator Bait Lounge in Melrose, and it was.
I've never been there either.
It's a great sports bar. They got a bunch of TVs, and they got actually live alligators in there, and
nice.
It was pretty nice. The beer was very cold. I can tell you that at noon.
You had a great day, Pat.
Then I watched Gator baseball. But my plan was. All right, the game will be over around 5:36. I'm going to go out and play 9 holes when I get done. That didn't happen.
No way.
Anyway, all right, let's get to Yes, No, Where, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. Street dining done the right way. Our good friend Keith Miller, sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. We love him so much. All right, Robbie, I got some good questions for you this week. You're right. Number 1, Caitlin Clark should be on the Olympic team.
Yes, Pat. I mean, she's created all this excitement about WNBA. She's the most popular player in the world right now. Yeah, she should be on that team. I don't see any reason why she isn't.
Well, she's not because they resent her, and even the coach of the team said, she's it's about more than one player, and it's like they're always trying to diminish what she's doing, but
it's true.
The bottom line is. You're watching women's basketball not because you have great players, because you have Caitlin Clark. They missed a great opportunity there, I think.
Pat, they sold that game out the other day in Indianapolis. That would have never happened without her.
They're terrible, too.
Yeah.
Their team is awful, and she's not doing that much, but she is the face. I saw a great tweet today. Somebody said it would be like, well, Tiger Woods did win the Masters last year, but we need you to focus more on Lauren Roberts.
Jealousy's a bad look, Pat, and that's what we've got going on in the WNBA.
it's not good for them either, because guess what?
No.
Most people don't care about the WNBA. And
No,
we get
they
it shoved
don't.
down our throat by ESPN all the time. And this is the one thing you can do to say, okay, well, I want to watch her. And not to do that, I think it's stupid, but it's their problem, not mine. All right, number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe, Robbie. Georgia beats North Carolina State tonight to make it 5 teams from the SEC in Omaha.
I'm going to just have to say a maybe on that, Pat, because look how badly they got beaten that first game. So, and North Carolina State obviously is a very good team. So,
Yeah,
to me, that's kind of one of those toss-up games. So, I'm going to go with a maybe on that one.
Yeah,
But it's going to be great that the SEC and ACC, the only conferences in the College World Series.
they're either going to have 8, 5-3, or 4-4, one way or another.
It's pretty unbelievable.
I can't imagine Georgia's offense getting stuffed by North Carolina State's third pitcher. That's why I would lean towards Georgia. But hey, it gives me something to watch tonight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Finally, number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe, Robbie. The Celtics sweep this week. They make it 4-0. They look dominant so far.
I'm going to go with a yes on that, Pat. I mean, Dallas just seems like just not into it at all compared to how well Boston's playing right now. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a clean sweep, and they're going to be over in a matter of days now. So
yeah, Kyrie Irving's killing him. He's not doing anything. And
yeah, I know. And I hate the Celtics, always have, but I've got to admit that they're the best team in the NBA by far.
Yeah, at first I was rooting for the Mavs. Now I think I'm rooting for a sweep, because now I want Horford to get his ring. I've gone
Might as well
way.
pull for him right now.
Exactly, because believe me, it's not going to go the other way.
No, it's not.
All right, Robbie, we'll let you go. Thanks a lot. And, by the way, Thursday is your radio day. Is that okay?
Yep, Thursday's great. I'll see you there, Pat.
All right, see you there on the
See you,
tailgate
Pat.
Thursday. All right, thanks. Okay, always great to have Robbie on the show every Monday, and he's going to be on the radio show Thursday, so that'll be fun as well on the tailgate. Looking forward to seeing Jeff Cardozo today. That'll be a lot of fun. I talked to Jeff maybe about coming on the podcast on Thursday too, so we may get him for Yes, Nowhere, maybe for that. All right, let us get to our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the weekend. Adams Rib Company, man, it is a place to go for some great barbecue if you want to go get some. And, of course, the Nana's Fish Nuggets on Friday. I'm going there Friday, okay? I mark it down. I don't have to do radio Friday, so I'm going there Friday and having lunch. And that's going to be great. All right, our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the weekend. I had a lot of choices, you can imagine, but you know what it ended up being? We've done her before, Parker Valby. Unbelievable what she was able to do in the at the NCAA meet, including the winning. She won the 5,000 and the 10,000. That meant she won the 5,000 outdoors, 10,000 indoors, cross country championship, 3,000 indoors, 5,000. She's the first to ever win 5 in a row. And look at her there. She's just a sweetheart. What an athlete. And my wife says she's been listening to people talk about her on her, I think it's on Housewives podcast and stuff about how great she is. But she's just blowing people away. And you're seeing what you just saw there. If you're watching this on audio, that was a girl who still had a lap to go that she was going past. So, I mean, she was right head to head with this young lady from Alabama and the young lady from Alabama. And they were right there. And all of a sudden she just went, okay, I think I'm going to go win. And she did. There are her parents there. So she is our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the weekend, first ever to win all 5 in the women's category, which is pretty amazing. She is one of the greatest athletes to ever, when I start doing those lists again, I'm going to have to put her in there. There's no question about it. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Of course, we all love our friends at Hesser and Kipke. We had a lot of text back and forth this weekend. Ken was into the games as well. Hesser and Kipke, of course, is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of family law and workers' compensation. If you're a loyal listener of this show, you know who we are by now. If not, Google the firm. Check out the reviews and hear what our clients have to say. Ken and Jennifer can be reached 24/7 via call or text at 352-339-9920. 352-339-9920. All right, let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And number one, news just broke. Now, for you guys, it broke, if you're listening later, it broke a long time ago. Dan Hurley is going to come back to UConn, not take the Lakers job. And I'm not stunned by that. Look, I'm not sure that Dan Hurley's style would have worked. And it's I don't know the reasons. I'll find out more later. I'll listen to what's his name, Winnie. I can't think of his name, Windhorst. I'll listen to Brian Windhorst. I'll listen to all those guys, and they'll tell us what really happened there. But I'm not stunned by it. I was kind of hoping he'd leave just because UConn's going to be good again because he's really good at what he's doing. I don't think he ever wanted the news to come out, but it does. Sometimes it does come out. But he is staying with the UConn and go for a three-peat. But I don't think it's the potential of a three-peat that is bringing him back. I think it is just he prefers college game. He prefers what they have in Storrs, Connecticut, which is nothing, but it's perfect for some people. And look, I could never live there personally. It's not a bad town. It's just nothing there. You've got Hartford. That's not for me. But that doesn't mean it's not for him. And if it's for him, you know what's different? L.A. That's totally different. So maybe it just came down to that. Maybe it was a wife thing. Maybe it was a family thing. I don't know. But we'll find out. But he is staying with the mighty UConn Huskies and not going to L.A. Number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. I didn't even mention the Celtics going up 2-0. Robbie and I did talk about it a little bit, but Drew Holloway is just playing ridiculous basketball defensively, and it doesn't bother me that Kyrie Irving is sucking it up. It really doesn't. He's terrible. He's killing them. He's the reason they aren't winning. I'm just going to say it. You know, what do you want out of Luka? I mean, how many points do you want? And 90? I think I saw a stat where he's made 8 threes and everybody else on the team's made 2. It's people not stepping up, and that includes Kyrie Irving, and that kind of makes me happy. I hate to say it. And finally, number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, really Bush League of the NCAA, and not surprising because most things they do are Bush League. And look, I'm a big fan of what they do with other sports and how they are able to run all these championships. I think people lose sight of that, and it's amazing. There wouldn't be a lacrosse Final Four without the NCAA. But they are so anal about things. And in this case, Eric Bakich, who was a Clemson coach who got ejected from the game in the 13th inning, could not talk about it or anything else. He was not allowed to talk to the media. That's Bush. Your season just ended. You're the head coach. You should be able to even if you go up to him and say, "Look, coach, if anybody asks you about getting kicked out of the game, just say, I don't want to get fined. I'll leave it. I'll leave it right there." You got to be able to talk about your team that just played its guts out. You can't do it. That's ridiculous. Now, I would assume that somebody today is going to go talk to him from Clemson. Personally, don't care. But it's just Bush, from me. I think it is. I may be wrong. So that's our Hesser and Kipke 3 things for today. Let's get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. And guys, a lot of you did pretty good this weekend, but you've got this. Celtics at the Mavericks. The Mavericks are 1.5-point favorites. That game is Wednesday night, so you have plenty of time to get in. Celtics or the Mavericks, if you take the Celtics, you get 1.5 points. I don't think it'll be a 2-point game. We'll see how it goes. Celtics look unbeatable right now, but we'll see. Well, I mean, they go home. You'll see if maybe it gets a little bit more interesting. But that's your Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. Celtics at Mavericks. Mavericks giving a 1.5. Let's wrap it up with our Swamp games of the week. And I know a lot of you this weekend are going to be, and I tell you what, I would have loved to have been at the Swamp Saturday when Mikey Robertson got that walk-off. I would have loved to have been there. I bet that place was jumping. People were probably standing on their heads. And I'm sure they'll be there on Saturday, packing the place again. And on Sunday, well, they'll play Saturday, Monday. But that's not what we're doing. We're doing the games of the week because I'm not doing the weekend until Thursday. Games of the week. Well, the first one, many of you probably already know who won, but I'll just still give it to you. Georgia, NC State in Athens tonight, 7 o'clock, ESPN. I've decided I'm rooting for NC State, even though the SEC could get 5 into the finals if Georgia wins, but it's Georgia. Something just you can't get out of your system. Wednesday is when the Boston at Dallas game is, 8:30 on ABC. So that'll be an interesting game to see if they can come back and at least make it a series. Don't forget tonight you also have hockey. Montreal. I looked at MON. I thought it said Montreal, and I realized it said Monday, which is today. Edmonton at Florida. Of course, Florida with a 1-0 lead there. 8 o'clock on ABC. They play again Thursday in Edmonton. 8 o'clock on ABC as well. I looked it up, Zach, and I'm wondering if you will be willing to do this. Like, you're a big Panthers fan, I know, so maybe the Carolina Panthers, but not. But just if you were a big Panthers fan and you said, hey, if we win and go up 2-0, I want to go to Edmonton and watch the game. Oh, God. I looked up the drive. You know how long it is? A mere 45 hours. So technically you could make it in time for the game.
I was going to guess like 96 hours. That's not bad. That's a breeze.
45 hours, nothing to it. It's weird. Although you can get a pretty good flight. Not a lot of people flying to Edmonton. But anyway, that is the Thursday game as well. All right, that's going to do it. We appreciate all of our great sponsors, all of our great friends, certainly our great producer, Zach, Coach Spurrier for being in here on Mondays, Robbie Andrew for doing it on Mondays. We will be back on Thursday with Laura Rutledge. You don't want to miss that. You know how good she is and it'll be easy on the eyes. In fact, they should not even show me during it, just block me out. But we'll be back Thursday. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.